What up, y'all? It is Jamba here with another video. Another wheat waffles reaction. Let's dig into it. I don't have that much time, but I kept on seeing this on my feed. This new video, so I'm like, you know what? Let's react to it. Is meeting girls in real life the answer? That's what we're digging at here.
Is many guys are waking up to the importance of looks. It's undeniable when you scroll through YouTube or TikTok comments that so many men are getting behind the idea that being attractive as a guy is a huge advantage, if not the primary advantage in terms of dating and attracting girls. I'm referring to the comments such as step one, be attractive, step two, don't be unattractive, or 6 foot plus, blonde, blue eyes, nice jaw, don't try this, most guys. These comments are becoming more and more common nowadays, especially with the explosion of dating apps, TikTok, and COVID forcing everything online. However,
Yeah, no, I've been seeing comments about looks and stuff like that on posts that are like normal posts about dating. So he's kind of right in that this ideology is creeping into the mainstream, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Oh,
however, at the same time, I've seen a number of guys who are trying to be creative and think of ways to bypass the importance of looks. They say things like, I'll just delete the dating apps and try to meet girls in real life. I'll just join yoga club or salsa class where there are loads of girls
or run clubs or, Pilates.
and I'll have a chance to display my personality. And though I find it endearing, these men are trying to overcome a challenge and think of a solution to a problem. Unfortunately, I see it as a fruitless endeavor, and it's pretty much a headless chicken hunt. The main point I want to drill home in this video is you as a man are way better off internalizing the importance of looks, accepting that it is by far the most important factor in the modern age,
Hmm.
and while simultaneously improving your looks, you should be trying to find a girl that likes you for your appearance so you can have a fulfilling relationship with her.
But the problem with that is if you are an overall unattractive dude, then that is going to be next to impossible, because even if you do find a woman who might not think that you're that bad looking to be with, she's always going to find attractive looking men more attractive. And if she's had access to those attractive men in the past, then it's like I said, this sounds good on paper, but this is yeah.
There's no point trying to bypass it. If you try to bypass how fundamentally important looks are in relationships, it will lead to heartache and misery. So you're better off only trying to date girls who find you physically attractive. So that's the premise, and I'll spend the rest of the video giving personal anecdotes and stories to explain this further. Let me get one thing clear
Yep.
first. If you're one of these guys who thinks meeting girls in real life will allow you to bypass looks,
It won't.
I have something to break to you.
No.
Meeting girls in real life at places like coffee shops or the grocery store is just as much about looks as it is online.
Yep.
I'm speaking from experience here as a man who's been on multiple dates with girls I've met this way, and my last two girlfriends being from these daytime conversations. The first one even told me that she'd been hit on by plenty of guys this way before me, but they were all too old, and I was the first guy her age to talk to her, which is why she accepted me.
Yep. Yeah. Age is a big factor. Sorry, I had to charge my phone. I would say that age is just as equal of a factor as looks, because even if you look the part, if she knows that you're too old for her, then it low key it kind of makes you less attractive. Because I know this happens to me where I've been attracted to a woman and find out that she's like, in her late 30s. It does make me less attracted to her. And I think that women are more repulsed by age than men are. I'm gonna have to do another video about that. There's a lot of videos that I gotta do that I haven't done yet, but don't worry, I will do them. I will do them.
I can't think of any reasons for why she would lie, so I think we can conclude if you're a guy who is significantly older or less attractive than her, you will be auto rejected even if she lets you down in a nice way. And it will be very obvious from her body language she doesn't like you.
Yep.
You may even be perceived as creepy and she'll make sub communications or she'll just flat out say she's not interested. If you don't believe me, you're more than welcome to try. but don't be surprised when you find out what I and my previous girlfriend said is true. If you're still not clear on this point, I think a good rule of thumb is if you are a stranger to her and she is the type of girl who will reject you on a dating app, talking to her in the day will lead to the same outcome no matter how polite and respectful your compliment may be. You need to have a similar looks and age to her. If you don't, you'll be rejected because of your looks and at worst have negative labels put on you. Another important factor, which again, speaking from experience, I've learned physical attraction cannot be bypassed even if you think you'll be able to get in a relationship with her. I'm talking about the guys who you know in your own life that you see are unattractive but have still been able to meet a beautiful girlfriend through warm environments such as a social club or work. From here, you might start thinking, how did he do that? Maybe I need to do the same. I'll just try to meet a girl and become friends with her first. This way, looks won't matter as much and she'll like me for my personality.
Right, yeah, like we know that's so effective in 2024.
You might think this is a good idea and could be a great workaround to bypass the importance of looks. But ultimately, I think it is a hard pass and that there are no shortcuts. If you try finding a relationship with a girl who doesn't find you initially physically attractive, then the relationship is almost guaranteed to fail or at best have a very bumpy ride ahead. Firstly, many of these relationships aren't nearly as special or romantic as you think. And to put it out there, a lot of them aren't even physical relationships. Trust me, I've seen it so many times I cannot not say this point. I've had 7 girls, 2 of which became my girlfriends, and the other 5 were just first dates, where she claims she's had a boyfriend in the past, but then would later tell me she is still a virgin. One of the girls who told
Hmm. That's an interesting point that I never really thought about is how sometimes women might be in relationships with men and they're not even truly attracted to that guy and don't even sleep with that guy, but are with him for other reasons, right?
me she was in a relationship with a guy for 3 years and another girl was there for 2 years. Every one of these so called relationships, and I'm talking about all the girls here, met in a warm environment such as school. In my opinion, they resemble more friendships than intimate relationships. At best, it is a jester relationship. And by the way, these are not just my words, but the girls I've dated told me this. And they told me this before I even asked them. The one that was a virgin in a relationship for 3 years said these words: I always saw him more like a brother to me.
Mm-hmm.
Another one said, I never really saw him like that, which is why we never did anything.
Damn.
Then, when I asked why she was with him, she said, all my friends were in relationships and we were the only 2 left that weren't.
Mm.
So it just made sense for us to get together. I think this highlights an important point. If you meet a girlfriend who alludes to you only being together because it's convenient, it just makes sense or right place, right time. Does that connote it's a strong relationship or a weak relationship? I'd say weak. Anyway, I heard similar phrases from the other girls. And honestly, the first time I heard it, I was so puzzled and couldn't see how 2 people can be together for over a year and not have it happen just one time. But then the fifth, sixth, seventh time I heard it and it became more and more normal. Not surprising at all. Additionally, these are just the girls that had told me these stories. Imagine a number of other girls who never told me experiences like this, even though they had them. Now, before continuing, I want to make a harsh but very clear point.
So I mean, he's basically just talking about situations like you say in that where women are with guys they're not really truly interested in it. So basically, this is to kind of say that sometimes people like to when we talk about the whole issue of dating and stuff like that, and what men got to go through and what women are doing. It's kind of like sometimes a lot of men talk about how, well, I know plenty of women, excuse me, plenty of men that are not super attractive that are in relationships, but we, at the end of the day, you don't know the dynamics of that relationship. You don't know that, even though they've been married, that they haven't had sex for 6 months or that, maybe, she is, initiated a open relationship and he's not getting like, so we don't necessarily know what the dynamics there is until you really get into the nitty gritty of it. So it's best not to always judge things off of just off of what the surface level is. I mean, and I guess that kind of goes with anything, right? So,
Point. If you are or have been one of these guys in these relationships, then what on earth were you doing?
mm.
I mean, seriously, I seriously hope that you are watching this video to know how big of a cost you endured for being with these girls.
Well, they were in them because that was the best chance at getting what they wanted. So even so, if you're an average guy, you being in a relationship with a woman who doesn't give you any is still closer to you getting some than you being a single dude. Because you being a single dude, you really weren't getting none. So if you're in a relationship, at least you get a hug every now and again. At least you kiss, make out, maybe go to first or second base, maybe a HJ every so often. So I can understand from your average man's perspective why he would be in a relationship like that. It makes total sense to me. I'm not saying it's right, but it's just makes sense. It's the same reason why people stay in jobs where they're still getting paid minimum wage, or maybe a dollar or two above minimum wage, because that for them was the closest they're going to get to earning a decent living. People stay in those types of jobs for years.
Fair enough. This is more anticipated if you are very young. But one of the dudes was 18 at the start and 20 by the end. More than old enough, so any relationship should have the goal of meeting someone serious and doing physical stuff. I'm not saying it needs to happen on the first date,
Right.
not necessarily the first month, but if you get to a few months and there hasn't even been a consideration of what the physical elements of the relationship will entail, then I'd recommend to have a conversation with your partner about this and a long, hard think about whether this is the right relationship for you. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion based on experience, if it gets to this long without addressing this, then I think there are concerns for the levels of physical attraction your partner has for you. And if you sense she's even a little apprehensive or questioning of her physical desire for you, then I think the strength of the relationship is very compromised. Put simply, I think it is the same as trying to ride a bike with flat tires. Yeah, you can still technically try to keep it moving along, but it's not a great experience, and you'd probably be better off addressing the issue, or if the tires are unfixable, then finding new tires
Changing.
or a new bike altogether.
Yeah.
Yes, it might mean you need to abandon your current standing. Yes, it might take a long time to find someone new.
A very long time, and in some cases they may not be able to do it. So there's definitely a fear there, and that is not a to his point, that is not a dynamic for any sort of healthy relationship where you fear leaving the relationship because you don't know if you're able to replace that partner. Women typically don't have that fear, because they are usually with men, unless they're with like an NBA player or something. They're usually with men that are relatively easily replaceable. Whereas a man, if on average, he's not able to easily replace that woman. So this is one of many reasons why most relationships fail, is because of that imbalance of the power dynamic between the man and the woman.
But when you do it, it will be all the much more worth it. This is why I believe you should
That's
only
a
try to get in
possibility.
a relationship when a girl is giving you S tier choosing signals and has made clear indications that she finds you physically attractive. Every relationship I've had has been this way and has been great. Whereas the ones I started dating initially and it was clear early their physical attraction was a C or B tier at best, I stopped dating them even though I could have likely kept it going and became official. What I've learned is if you are in a relationship where a girl isn't in it for your looks, then you're not worth being in that relationship. I'll repeat. If you are in a relationship where a girl isn't in it for your looks, then you are not worth being in that relationship.
Well, yeah, it's not worth it for you being in that relationship. That's tough, man. Because most males, we waffles, bro. Most men are never gonna be in that predicament, bro. For most men, that's just not. It's that's impossible for the majority of men, bro. It just is. So it's like he's saying these solutions, which I ultimately do agree. I just don't think that it's a probable thing, because if you're an average looking guy, then women are not going to find you attractive just on average. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to find a woman, if you're an average looking man, to be with you purely based on your looks. Now he's a white guy saying this shit, so he can easily get himself like if you're a white guy and you found yourself an Asian woman will be with you just because you're a white dude. So he's a I got to remember, he's a white boy. And white boys have a whole kind of a different paradigm in terms of dating than a black dude, an Indian dude, a Hispanic dude, or whatever. He's a white guy, so he can find himself hell he can find himself a black woman who just likes him just off of him being average than a white guy, you know. So I have to keep that in mind.
You can't try to bypass physical attraction by compensating with personality. And furthermore, even just think for a second just how pathetic this is on a deep level. If a guy settles for a relationship thinking, I know this girl doesn't really find me good looking or handsome, but she is still with me because she likes my personality. That's not strong love, that's a facade. In my experience, the best type of relationships are where the partners each have a feeling of 10 out of 10 in every department about the other person. 10 out of 10 personality, 10 out of 10 affection, 10 out of 10 physical attraction, 10 out of 10 communication, 10 out of 10 trust. Having a relationship where everything is a 10 except physical attraction, which is a 2, isn't a strong relationship, it's a weak one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 100% agree. What he just described is more of a friendship situation, and that is a situation where the man is more than likely going to be the one that is being taken advantage of because she is going to utilize him for all of his um, non-sexual attention, but in that's just not an equal dynamic between a man and a woman.
And if I was in that position, I'd find it highly disheartening and demoralizing.
It is, yeah.
The best relationships I've had are where the girl communicates she has strong physical desire for me, going beyond just verbal. But I can see it in her body language, in intimate moments, her genuine and primal attraction she has for me. I would never want to be in a relationship where this isn't present. I'll tell you this, when you've had experiences with girls where some give you primal desire and are extremely attracted to you, whilst others feel like they are doing you favors to stay with you, then you'll know which ones are genuine and worth keeping. So, why do so many guys turn a blind eye for this and settle for relationships where the girl doesn't feel this intense way?
Because that's all they can get, buddy. That's the best. That situation where he's with that woman and she doesn't really like his looks like that or whatever, you know, like he has like such a great, he's a hard worker, he's so funny, I mean he's not the best looking guy in the world, my girlfriends always tell me you could do better. The reason why he's with that girl is because that's the best he could do, and if this guy says anything different, then he's full of shit.
My answer? Because most guys try to chase girls in their social circle, but 99% of these girls have next to no physical attraction for them. In my experience, I've only
Most guys are not chasing women in their well, I mean he might be talking from college. I mean, what else can they do? What else can they do? Sure, you can go to the gym. Sure, you can try to like, but but what else can they? If he's talking about like young men, what else can they do? But go after the women that are in their social circle who know them for who they are. What else can they do?
dated one girl from Warm Approach. That's one girl that has given me S tier from a warm environment, and I felt the desire was strong enough from the beginning that I wanted to be in a
And what happened with her?
relationship with her. And over the years, I've probably interacted with at least 200 girls in warm environments. So do the math, that's one girl out of 200 that gave me S tier if she's someone I already knew. All the rest gave worse choosing signals than this. I'd estimate 90% of them gave F.
This guy's this guy's basically saying, "Here's we waffles, bro. This is why we got to get on the stream together or something. You wouldn't get on the stream with me because I'm a nobody in this space, but." You're basically saying that unless she treats you like a Chad, then you shouldn't be with her. But the problem is that no, everyone ain't most 90% of guys aren't Chad, so it's not gonna fucking happen. The only time you're gonna be truly and I wish I was able to see what the woman looked like. I bet you she was Asian. I'm about 50% sure this the girl who was giving him high choosing signals, S tier choosing signals was probably Asian. Um, you're he's all he's saying is if they don't treat you like Chad, don't date them. That is you're that's a Yeah, bro. That's this is really unreal. I might even have to comment on this shit because this is really unrealistic advice right here, bro. I'm not saying that I have an answer for you specifically. I mean, I kind of do, but this, nah, bro.
Tier, which pretty much means their desire was non existent, no signals whatsoever, and in many scenarios, I'd assume they didn't even want to talk to me, rather just had to because they were obliged based on whatever warm environment we were in. Then there were maybe another 9.5% that gave choosing signals in between, and I probably could have settled for a relationship with one of these girls who was giving me B or C tier, but why would I want to? Even if she agreed, I'd always be feeling this is a sympathy relationship.
Hmm.
And I'd worry in future if we were no longer in the same circle, I'd be just like one of those guys who was with her for a short while, and when she's with the next guy who she gives S tier to,
She gonna leave
she'll be
your ass.
saying how I was always like a brother to her.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be regarded as like a brother. I want to be seen as the main and sole guy that she finds deeply attractive and likes everything about me. Anyway, now for something a little bit more light-hearted. This next story isn't about a relationship I've had, but nonetheless, it's still a funny story and highlights the consequences of trying to attract girls who don't give S tier.
Okay, how much time you got on this? About 5 minutes.
I'll never forget one time me and my friend were on holiday and we were chatting to these two girls who seemed kinda interested in us initially. They agreed to come to our hotel room later for
Uh,
pre-drinks before heading out.
uh-oh.
They showed up at the agreed time and we were with them for 2 hours. The vibe was okay and they were probably giving us B tier, escalating to A tier as they had more drinks and became more comfortable. Then, shortly after, I had to go to the bathroom and my friend and the two girls headed downstairs to get more drinks. I then received this message from my friend: F tier, all caps. I
Huh.
ask him on the chat what's
Wow. So
happened,
him,
but he doesn't respond.
wow,
He then
him and his him and his friends be using the same lingo. That's funny.
comes to the room a few minutes later and tells me in private that whilst they were in the elevator, there was some 5'11" Chad and the girls were all over him.
Oh no. Oh, this sucks, man. See, this is the shit. See, yeah. So basically, what happened? He's gonna talk about how a Chad, a bigger fish, came into the elevator, and as a result of it, it fucked up his chances because they wanted that guy. So had the Chad not gone into the elevator, then okay, yeah, it's making sense. This is making sense.
They pumped up the flirting to 95 and were immediately telling him how attractive he was and they can't wait to see him out in the club later. In other words, they were giving him Giga S tier. As soon as me and my friend discussed this, we knew we were wasting our time.
Yeah.
And even in the best case scenario, if the two girls got with us later, we'd feel it was out of sympathy because the energy with the Chad guy was way, way, way higher.
Yep.
If given the chance, both of them would have rather had spent their time drinking and partying with the Chad,
Yep.
and maybe he had a Chad friend as well if there were two of them.
Yep. And yeah, and Chads they usually travel in packs.
Compare this to how they probably viewed us, and it was clear we were at best the second and less desirable option.
Ooh, God, dog. See, ladies, this is the shit that y'all don't really, because like y'all do this like without really thinking. It's this is like on autopilot for y'all. Like I don't think that men, how we treat a woman who's a six versus how we treat a nine or a 10, it's not as night and day as how y'all treat a dude who y'all perceive as a six versus how y'all perceive a 10. Because we could still go outside and see a six, and if she's cute, and we will still approach her like it's not as different is the point that I'm trying to make. It's not as that different. What we might do for that person might be different, but y'all act completely different when y'all with the 9 or 10 than y'all. It's insane.
After this happened, me and my friend decided to leave and find some other girls.
Yeah.
To my utmost surprise, the girls got mad at us for leaving, calling us jealous and how they were just being friendly to the Chad guy and it didn't mean anything.
And now here comes the gaslighting. Yeah.
But we stuck to our guns because we knew these girls weren't genuinely interested in us.
Yep.
They didn't have primal attraction, otherwise they would have given us S tier.
But how can you expect that if you're not a Chad? How can you expect the primal attraction to even happen? It like he just said it, out of 200 girls, he only gets a S tier from one out of the 200, and that's a woman that he didn't even end up marrying. So you should have married that girl who gave you the S tier then. But since it's one out of 200, then that is something that is damn near a fluke. That's like stupid to try to replicate, right? One out of 200.
The only way to know if a girl has primal attraction for you is if she gives you S tier. So we left and wanted to find other opportunities of girls that would give us S tier
Oh man, this seems fucking exhausting.
outside. What this story made me learn, besides chasing girls who don't give S tier is a waste of time, is sometimes you might think a girl is giving you B tier or even A tier, but until you see how she is when she's with a guy she genuinely finds attractive, that's when you'll see
Just look up 6'8" the Great, look up his videos, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about.
her true S tier come out, and then you'll realize the B tier or whatever she was giving you all along was pathetic and more like D tier at best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to say one more point, which kind of
Yeah,
summarizes
and what's funny is that when I've seen that in college, when I brought a girl over, and then my roommate, who was much better looking, much more attractive than I was, you see how that woman the girl who I brought interacted with him, and it was just, and I felt that at fucking 19, 20 years old. So so it's very clear, and these women, they do act different. Like they give that person a whole different version of themselves than they would give to you.
everything I've been saying. For the relationships where a girl doesn't have intense physical desire for the dude, the vast majority of them have an expiry date written all over them.
Sorry.
If the desire wasn't there initially, it's not possible to make it present in future.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah, yeah. If it's not there initially, then it won't be there later.
I've seen it often diminishes because after the first several months of the relationship being in the honeymoon phase where optimism and rose tintedness is heightened, one or both of the partners starts to realize whatever mediocre attraction there was at the beginning was not worth getting into the
Yeah,
relationship in the
and they
first
eventually leave.
place. The person who signals this alarm bell is usually the woman, and the doubts she had in her mind at the start rise to the surface, eventually leading to the relationship falling apart.
Hmm.
Even if she was able to suppress her emotions in the honeymoon phase, they'd have always been at the back of her mind, and it's only a matter of time
Yeah, it's like a ticking time bomb. You know, that doubt can only grow. It never goes away. It's always there. It's always gonna pick at her. When she's around other men who she's actually attracted to, she's gonna get that feeling that she doesn't have with you. She's gonna make comparisons. She's gonna fault find. It's gonna make your relationship even worse. It's gonna make you miserable because she's miserable, and then the situation gets blown up, and you're in the divorce court or wherever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's right on this. I'm with him.
until they reach the forefront. I have one friend who was in a relationship like this for a while, which eventually broke down for the reason just described.
Yep.
And it was only until he at last found a girl who gave him true S tier, he realized how that previous relationship was more or less a joke.
Mhm.
He realized just how important intense primal physical desire really was. Anyway, that's enough BPs for today.
All right.
But
All
if you've
right.
enjoyed,
All right, Weedy boy. All right, y'all. Well, what do y'all think about this video? I knew I wasn't reacting too much. I wanted to kind of let it rock. Um, but I agree. I'm about 70-30. I agree. 70, I agree. About none of the other 30 in regards to a solution. I'm not, very unrealistic. But yeah, like and subscribe, y'all, and I'll be back with more content.